you can tell how we've been out. Think you've been out 2 plus 40, and you're running around 20 minutes behind.
Now, the moonwalkers' time on the surface was scheduled down to the minute. Time was precious. But hey, they were human. And human beings can't resist playing around. Playing is how we often learn new things. And I've asked some of them, if you could have more time on the moon, what would you do? Al Bean told me that throwing something on the moon was just a joy. A gold packing foil he would throw and it would fly for hundreds and hundreds of yards.
Yeah, I just heard something. I didn't the ground yet. It must have gone up 300 feet.
Can you imagine having a day off on the moon? What would you do out there?
You know what I feel right now? Giving you those pictures that you're on in slow motion. That's exactly what I feel like.
I asked Gene Cernan of Apollo 17 what he did with his limited free time, and he said he looked off straight ahead into the inky void of the time-space continuum. We returned from the moon with rocks and memories and over 10,000 photographs. It's a treasure trove of information. And we are still studying them today. What's your motivation? Why returning to the moon on Artemis now, 50 years after the fact?
Because we're humans, and because it's what we do. If you put us in a box, we're going to want to know what's on the other side, around that corner. If you put us on a globe, stuck to it by gravity, we're going to know what's up there and out there.
Traveling all the way to the moon was a huge achievement, yet when the astronauts arrived, their exploration was limited by how far they could walk. Now, the moon is larger than Europe, the US, China, and Brazil combined. And if we were ever going to find its secrets and treasures, we needed something to carry us further and faster. But how? Is that jetpacks? Is it vehicles with wheels? If so, what kind of wheels even work on the lunar surface? Eventually, they settled on an electric car. Now, isn't it astounding that an electric car was used on the moon 50 years before they got on back on Earth? But not only was a lunar rover an electric car, it was a fold-out electric car that had traveled 250,000 miles in order to be driven for the first time. It was the very definition of an off-road vehicle.
No limit to transportation.
Iya. Iya.
Okay, Mr. Navigator.
Iya.
By the way,
Iya.
this is really a rock and roll ride. I really do stand for you feeling that.
Apollo's astronauts were the first creatures ever set eyes on these landscapes. With no atmosphere to convey distance and scale, it's hard to appreciate what we can see. That valley ahead of astronaut Dave Scott is a mile wide at the bend and deep enough to swallow the Empire State Building. Mount Hadley towers almost 3 miles above us, taller than Mount Fuji. And that little dot in the distance, that's their spaceship. Crystal clarity of everything in those photos was extraordinary. Why? Because there was no air, there was no oxygen, there's no dust between the lens and the subject. The photograph of a rock formation on the planet Earth is a photograph of the last 1,000 years or so of that rock formation, because water, wind, air has reshaped it. But a photograph of any rock from the Sea of Tranquility of the Taurus Littrow Valley is a photograph of a rock that has remained in place, that has not moved, since a volcano or an impact has shoved it into that new place. The dust has not been disturbed for billions of years. These panoramic photographs the astronauts captured for us only took a fraction of a second, a fleeting moment. But in this landscape, there are rocks dating from a time that is no longer preserved on Earth. We just had to find them. Going to the moon gave us the opportunity to collect clues about ourselves. Each moon rock is a time capsule, carrying stories about where we came from. They offer missing links to the deepest history of our own home, lost chapters from our past to bring home and read.
Waka. Yeah.
As you come around there, there's a rock in the near field of this rim. We'd like you to pick it up to the grad sample. Sure you want to rock that big here? Oh, hey! Holy smile! Hey, it is! I can see it from here! Wait, I put my visor up. It's still orange. Here's one over. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Very angular, very rough surface texture. It's got glass on one side of it with lots of bubbles. And it probably is fresh, probably not over 3.5 billion years.
3.5 billion years. Think about that. That is deep time. It's humbling to hold something that old from the time when both the moon and the earth were just oceans of molten rock, reborn from a giant planetary collision. Rocks from that time were what Apollo 15 specifically went to the Hadley Rim on the moon to look for.
Guess what we just found? I think we found what we came for. Crystal rock, huh? Yes, sir. You better believe it. Can you imagine that, Joe? You're getting this rock and it's been here just before Demetrius wrote the word.
A moon rock might look gray on the outside, but under the microscope and the right light, the crystals come alive, each of them holding a story from the depths of time. And you know what? They are beautiful. The atoms in your body and those in these rocks were forged by the same stars. We simply borrow them from the cosmos for a few brief years before returning them at the end of our lives. Several astronauts and cosmonauts reached the ends of their lives all too soon, paying the ultimate price for their part in expanding our human horizons. And on Apollo 15, Dave Scott left a sculpture of a fallen astronaut and a plaque with 14 names on it to represent those lives that were lost. Going back to the moon, Artemis right now, is there an all-encompassing why?
If we look at Apollo, look at space station, look at Artemis, I think these are first steps to building permanent presence and then expanding that out to Mars and then getting out to the outer reaches of the solar system.
I did not realize at the time that Apollo 17 was the last mission to the moon. I got home from school, and there, perfectly on a color television set in the TV room, was Jack Schmidt and Gene Cernan walking on the moon in the Taurus Littrow Valley.
At 17, if you wanted to take a minute, you might look up in the sky and notice that our camera's taking a beautiful picture of Mother Earth. Oh man, hey Jack, just stop, enjoy yourself 30 seconds to look up over the stop and see and look at the Earth.
Now, the TV camera tilted up and found the Earth and zoomed in on it. And that shot, that little bit of reality, was showing all of us on the planet Earth. I wanted to run outside and jump around and wave my arms and see if by some chance I could be in that picture too. It was an extraordinary moment.
As the spaceport rifling would say, we're ready for you to come back again to the home cement on the cool green hills of Earth. Thank you, Joe. We're ready to. But it's been great. place up here. We ought to start moving out of here. Yep, let's go.
There's a photograph on the moon. It's a standard photograph as you would take and in those days have developed and printed at the local drugstore. It was from the Charlie Duke family of Apollo 16. And he wrote on the back of this photograph, "This is the family of Charlie Duke from planet Earth, landed on the moon." And they all signed it. And they put their thumbprints on the back. We went to the moon as a family, a human family. And going further, as we go together, it takes our collective ingenuity, courage, and stamina to accomplish. And that's our greatest strength. When you next look up and see the familiar moon, remember this valley, the last site we, humanity, visited on that place in our sky.
Take your final look at the valley head towards Central. We're 50 seconds now and we're go. Proceed in 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Start that way, Houston. Well, I believe history will record that America's challenge of today has forged man's destiny of tomorrow. And as we leave the moon and towards Little, we leave as we came, and God willing as we shall return. With peace and hope for all mankind.
Above all, I think Apollo was a voyage of inspiration. The thing that still fuels me in my day-to-day life and what I want to convey to my kids and my grandchildren and to all of you is that if humankind can figure out a way to put 12 of us on the moon and bring them back safely to Earth, then honestly, we can solve anything.